Well, there was not a...
Or Caucasian, I guess they would have called it at the time, or European?
They were European, but they're also a mixture of lots of European cultures, and their whole worldwide economy was dependent on slavery, mostly in the Caribbean, as the Spanish had it mostly in South and Central America. And then we had it in the southern states. Slavery was legal in the colonies from New Hampshire to Georgia. And then one by one, the northern states sort of realized it. And George Washington freed his slaves. I mean, they all knew.
He kept a couple, somebody said. I don't know if that's true.
Thomas Jefferson understood. They understood that slavery was morally wrong.
Right.
And yet it was an impossible, what's the right word? It was they're making too much money not to give it up. And it's only later in the 19th century when the abolitionist movement comes, we should abolish slavery, that then you find slaveholders now making really big arguments about how, they're inferior, they're children, they can't handle freedom and all of this stuff, all of which they didn't really express. Thomas Jefferson did a little bit in his notes on the state of Virginia. It's very, very complicated, but we're always looking for a way to say that some people are more equal than others. And if you believe in equality, that's not the case.
Right.
That if you believe in the second line of the Declaration, which is our catechism, then it's everybody. And that people have the ability to rise according to their abilities and opportunities.
Yeah.
And you try to provide as many opportunities for as many people. But the minute you transform this civic, just explosion, this beautiful civic compact that we have, and racialize it, it can only be white, it can only be black, and it can only be this, it can only be that, it's already lost.
Yeah.
It is not one thing or one type of people. That's where you go wrong. I mean,
but history does that. It's kind of interesting because it's like, even whenever they were declaring America, right, and deciding what it meant to be American, and they were in this period that you investigate in the American Revolution documentary. It's like they were saying this is who we are, right? At the same time, they're also colonizing. It's interesting when colonization and being human started to sort of, I don't know, do you know what I'm kind of saying?
I know what you're talking.
It's just such a weird it's the dichotomy.
It's the difference between the ideal and the human possibility at any given moment. And what the founders were saying is that in order to have a government that operates, not only do all people have to be created equal, but you have to be pursuing this self-examination. We should be interested in improving ourselves. So when Thomas Jefferson wrote, "All men are created equal," he meant all white men of property free of debt. He did not mean a majority of the white population of the colonies, women. He did not mean the 500,000 free and enslaved African Americans. He did not mean the native peoples, both intermixed with people and part of the rest of the continent. And remember, we didn't say when we started our Congress and when we started our army, we didn't say the Eastern Seaboard Congress. We didn't say the Eastern Seaboard Army. We said the Continental Congress, the Continental Army. We knew where we were going and we knew who we were going to run over to get it. And even when the Constitution was started, women were let out. There's one of the leading women of Philadelphia, Elizabeth Willing Powell, met Benjamin Franklin as he came out in mid-September in 1787 from Independence Hall, where they'd been, figuring out the Constitution and getting it down, and said, "What have you created, Dr. Franklin, a monarchy or a republic?" And he said, "A republic if you can keep it." Meaning, we're going to do this. Now, when they went into it in 1776, they were not after a democracy. Democracy meant mob rule to a lot of people. They were interested in an aristocracy of the elites, right? But in order to win the war, they had to enlist not the sturdy militiamen who often left to go plant a crop or often left to go harvest that crop, but they ended up with an army, the Continentals, the regular army of the United States of America, the Continental Army, were teenagers, second and third sons without a chance of an inheritance, felons, ne'er-do-wells, recent immigrants from Germany and England, and they won the war.
Wow.
And so as they're beginning, the dogs won the war, and as they're beginning, and we fought